I'd like to call the meeting to order at 7:01.
Why you're in there?
That one's like a reach for me.
I have a moment of silence,
I
please.
really like Pittsburgh. So that one's like.
Stand for the flag salute. Pledge allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. Mrs. Woodington?
Here.
Mr. Brownhall?
Here.
Mr. Gaffney?
Here.
Mr. Kenny?
Here.
Mr. McGuckin? Mrs. Quinn?
Here.
Mrs. Trompe? Mrs. Turner? Mrs. Fitzwater here. Statement is hereby made that adequate notice of this meeting was given by submission of said notice to the Burlington County Times, the Courier Post, the Cinnaminson Township Clerk, and the district website on January 14th, 2021. We're going to move down to section 4, routine business. Item A, the Secretary report for August 2021. Sorry, my mouse is flipping me around. Section B, the Treasurer's report for August 2021. C, the budget receipts and transfers for August 2021. D, the monthly transfer report as of October 15th, 2021. E, the high school activities report for September 2021. F, the food service management cost performance statement for July, August, and September 2021. G, the certified bill list for October 1st, 2021 through October 13th, and September 17th through September 30th, 2021. The approval of minutes, regular minutes from September 28th, confidential minutes also from September 28th. Mrs. Woodington, can I have a motion to approve section B, or section 4, routine business, letters A through H?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Gaffney. Comments or questions from the board? Hearing none, we'll take a vote. Mr. Bromhall?
Aye. Aye. Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye. Motion approved. All right, moving on to section 5, routine matters. A, the enrollment report for October 15th, 2021. B, the health report for September 2021. Must be me. C, the fire alarm report for September 2021. D, the crisis drill report for September 2021. E, the HIP report. And F, the superintendent's monthly report. Mr. Capello.
Thank you, Mrs. Fitzwater. Thank you to members of the public for being here this evening. I'd like to thank Mr. Belsky in the back, who is offering some tech help this evening. We have an ever-evolving venue for our Board of Education meetings and trying some new things with audio this evening as we're working on presenting a live stream moving forward of all of our board meetings. So trying out some new technology in real time this evening, so hopefully everybody can hear me nice and clearly. Once again, I'd like to thank members of the public who are here with us this evening. And as I begin my remarks tonight, I think probably the most poignant place to start would be an update on where we are at as a district with COVID. And as members of the public are aware, our schools and our district have not been immune to COVID-19 since the start of the school year. Despite a myriad of protective measures, the case count in our schools mirrors that of our community of Cinnaminson. To date, we have 38 positive cases since the first day that students reported. 8 of these cases happened in the last 7 days, which juxtapose 3 cases in the 13 days preceding that. And I think that just serves as a reminder that we need to remain vigilant and that this is still with us. And school will be serving moving forward as vaccination sites once fully approved for students ages 5 to 11 to receive the COVID-19 vaccination. And we're very happy to be partnering with the Burlington County Department of Health on that project and on our vaccination partnerships to this point. So that behind us, a couple of good news items. You may have read a recent article in the Patch which recognized U.S. News and World Report's summary report ranking the top elementary and middle schools, some 80,000 schools across the U.S. I'd like to recognize that our middle school was ranked in the top quadrant of middle schools in New Jersey And the Eleanor Rush School was also recognized as a top elementary school in the state of New Jersey based on their math and reading proficiency, as well as math and reading performance. You may be wondering how come New Albany School, which we know and love as a great school, was not recognized. They do not test in grades PK through 2, so they would not have been included as a part of this. You'll hear a little bit later from our student board liaisons, who I'm sure will be letting us know some of the great things that are happening in the middle school and high school, but there was one news item I wanted to bring along from the Rush School. Their students of the month sometimes don't get recognized publicly as our middle school and high school students do. So I wanted to recognize Cyrus Wagner from 3rd grade, Courtney Mullen from 4th grade, and Josiah Guyton from 5th grade. And one great thing that the administrative leadership, which is now Mrs. DeSimone and Mr. Belsky, at the Rush School have done was they also recognized 17 students who were recognized as runners up for Student of the Month, because there are so many great kids to recognize, so I applaud your efforts in student recognition. I'd also like to recognize Mrs. DiClemente, Mrs. Pallett, and the students who took part in Sunday's Stuff the Bus event at Wood Park as a part of the Cinnaminson Fall Festival. We had great representation out there, and it was wonderful to see our students coordinate an effort that collected food that will be donated later this week. The previous board meeting, I gave the community an update and mentioned that we will be moving our students towards a one-to-one Chromebook initiative, and we are making great progress with this, funding it through federal ESSER funds and ECF grant funding. For parents who might not have heard of ECF grant funding, we sent out a survey towards the end of last year asking parents who had access to a device, an internet-ready device and an internet connection at home. Those that responded that they could use some assistance, that number was passed along in the survey through the state by way of the federal government, and the district received grant funding to help us purchase some Chromebooks, a significant number of Chromebooks that are ultimately going to be available to students. We're targeting January 1st. We've had a couple supply chain issues, but thank you to Mr. Creel, who has worked his magic to ensure that we have those devices coming our way and will be in the hands of students right around the start of the new calendar year. And I promise not to steal too many things from the high school update, but I did want to recognize at least one of our athletic teams. It was great to see them recognize our boys soccer team, NewJersey.com mid-season rankings, 2 awards of note. Cinnaminson was recognized as the surprise team of the year, and certainly many thanks to their coach, Mr. Matt Digney, who was also recognized as the mid-season coach of the year. And as I'm sure we'll hear later, and again, sorry for the spoiler alert, they are the #1 seed in the coaches tournament, which is a great honor. So, if you've enjoyed this month's board meeting, next month we are going to have our students with us. Our middle school students from the CMS Student Government will be here as a part of Students in Board Service Day. This is an annual event that was kind of put on the sideline last year. We were happy to see it relaunched, and last night our students were a part of the Township Committee meeting where they served in Students in Government night, and we'll be very happy to have them here with us at our next board meeting in November. Mrs. Fitzwater?
Thank you, Mr. Capella. Mr. Gaffney, can I have a motion to approve Section 5 routine matters, items A through F?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Whittington. Comments or questions from the board? Hearing none, we'll take a vote. Mrs. Quinn?
Aye. Aye.
Aye. Aye. Aye.
Aye. Motion approved. We're going on to Section 6, student representative reports. The high school report from Ally Nider.
The students of the month for September are class of 2022, John McLean, class of 2023, Maddie Lubin, class of 2024, Alex Arnold, and class of 2025, Ava Quinn. Homecoming 2021 is almost complete. Fall sports teams are continuing their season. The football team's current record is 1-6. Boys soccer's current record is 14-1. Girls soccer record for the season right now is 11-1-3. Field hockey's current record is 13-4-1. Girls tennis record for the season is 3-10. Cross country. The boys cross country team is 16-0 and the girls record is 15-1. Girls volleyball has a season record of 13-3. Interact students will be going to the Calvary Presbyterian Church in Riverton next week, 10/27, to make sandwiches to be brought in the Cathedral Kitchen in Camden. Students are encouraged to bring in supplies needed to make the sandwiches, and Calvary Presbyterian Church is providing us with the space to make them. The National Honor Society is in the process of selecting new inductees from the junior and senior class. Our Cinnaminson Marching Band defended their title on Saturday night, September 18th, by finishing in first place at the Spring Forward Cavalcade of the Bands competition. With a score of 77.9, the band finished at the top of the independence group of the 6 bands and at the second highest score in the whole field of 12 bands. The band also won Best Overall Effect and Best Music. Senior soloists Connor Dini and Bria Petrella received special recognition from the adjudicators during critique. On October 2nd at Plymouth White Marsh High School, our Cinnaminson Marching Band took top honors in the cavalcade of the band's competition with a score of 82, which was once again the highest overall score in the contest. The band also took the awards for the best overall effect, both in music and visual, and best ensemble music. On October 9th, our Cinnaminson Marching Band participated in their first competition of the newly formed New Jersey Marching Band Directors Association. The band won first place in their division, also winning the best visual and best overall effect. On October 15th, Juliana Caesar was selected to the National Association for Music Education All-National Concert Band on the French horn. Congratulations to Emma Schreier, Chelsea Bond-Pozniak, and Morgan Hoban on their acceptance into the NJ All-State Mixed Choir. Their virtual performance will be available in November. Great work.
Good evening to all of you. My name is Olivia Ruggieri. For those who don't know me, I'll be your middle school Board of Education liaison this year. I've been in Cinnaminson my whole life, but I started to attend Cinnaminson schools in 4th grade. I'm so excited to be here today and see all of your wonderful faces. I hear I have some big shoes to fill, but I'm confident to be able to do it. Let's get to this meeting, shall we? Our middle school students for the month of September are Paige Serena for 6th grade, our 7th grade Valerie Syria, and 8th grade Charlie Hibiscus. The student council election was held on October 1st. The candidates presented their video speeches and student body voted during homeroom. The officers for this school year are as follows: President Kenny Kozowski, Vice President Lila McDermott, Secretary Brooke Howe, Treasurer Emily Renoff, Women's School Liaison Amanda Campnitz. Last night, all of our elected students participated in the Cinnaminson Township Council meeting. During the school day, the students had a tour of the municipal complex, including the police station. We met with the township officials, municipal staff, and even made our way into a jail cell. 2 8th grade students, Savannah Teganigum and Emily Bertolf, sang the national anthem at an event during our direction of Miss Sigmund. During the first week of October, our middle school students participated in the Week of Respect, a week of full activities geared towards building a character and for preventing bullying. This year, our student participated in a kindness boomerang activity. After watching a short video about the kindness boomerang, the student discussed how one of act of kindness can have a ripple effect and inspire others. The students created their own boomerang and listed ways they personally can help make CMS the best school. If you take a walk around CMS, you will find boomerangs displayed on students' lockers. In addition to the boomerang activity, students were recognized by staff members for their kind and respectful behavior. Fall sports are continuing, and the student athletics are having a full and successful time. The girls field hockey A team is 5-0. The girls B field hockey team has 3 wins under their belt. The boys A soccer team is 8-1, and the boys B soccer team is 6-0-1. The girls A soccer team is also having a successful season with a record of 5-0-1, and the girls B record with a 3-1-1 as well. Our school supported Relay for Life in September by wearing purple in honor of Miss Morescu's Purple Pirate team. Red Ribbon Week will be held the last week of October. There will be activities supporting drug abuse awareness as well as dress-up theme for each day. STOP and Student Council are teaming up again to make Spirit Week more meaningful by combining Spirit Week and Red Ribbon Week. The Student Club is promoting anti-drug awareness by involving the entire student body. This year's Red Ribbon theme is Drug-Free Looks Like Me. Students will write a positive message about being drug-free on the frame of paper sunglasses. The sunglasses will be displayed on the outside of the classroom doors. Spirit Week themes are as follows: Monday, October 25th, too bright for drugs, wear bright or neon colors. Tuesday, October 26th, sock it to drugs, wear crazy socks. Wednesday, October 27th, our school is drug-free, show your school spirit and wear Pirate Pride clothing. Thursday, October 28th, team up against drugs, wear your favorite team shirt or jersey. Friday, October 29th, stay boo to drugs, wear Halloween costume. Band lessons and practices are underway, and musicians are enjoying their time. I look forward to serving as Board of Education liaison this year. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Olivia. Thank you, Ally. We're moving on to Section 7, presentation. Mr. Goldberg?
turn on, off switch on it?
There we go. All right, good evening, everyone. We have two relatively short presentations this evening. The first is from our new lead teacher of our counseling department, Mrs. Linda Colella, and she's going to be giving the board a brief update on a new initiative that we've rolled out with regard to social emotional learning, K to 12. So, Mrs. Colella, they're all yours.
Thank you, Dr. Goulburn. I want to thank you for this opportunity to present to you tonight our social emotional learning program. So some of the questions that I will be addressing throughout this brief Google Slides presentation is, what is SEL? Why does it matter? And how can educators promote SEL for students? So I just want you to take a look at this slide. It's the teen mental health challenges are on the rise. And I would like you to just take a moment to look at some of the statistics. I know it might be tough to say. I'll point out some that really resonated with me. So as we know, due to the pandemic, the past year and a half has been tough on us as adults and extremely tough on our students. Many students have felt more isolation and disconnection throughout this time. And one of the statistics that really stood out to me is 1 out of 3 teens will meet the criteria for anxiety disorder by the age of 18. And this is my 10th year here at the middle school, and I think we see a lot of students with anxiety coming in and out of our office. And it definitely is on the rise throughout this pandemic, and it's even starting at a much younger age with even our students at New Albany. But the good thing is 82% of teens want to talk more honestly and openly about mental health, and 79% wish that there was a safe space in school to talk about mental health. So through our curriculum, which I will talk about in just a few moments, we'll provide that space for our students, that safe space in which they can talk about how they feel and really make those important connections with our staff and our school and also their peers. They have to really we have to really reintroduce, socialization and making connections with everyone around us, because like I said, in the past year and a half was very tough on them. So what is SEL? Social and emotional learning is an umbrella term that refers to students' acquisition of skills to recognize and manage emotions, develop care and concern for others, make responsible decisions, establish those positive relationships I discussed earlier, and handling challenging situations effectively. So Cinnaminson School District has adopted the Choose Love curriculum to address SEL. So why choose love? About 2 years ago, I attended the Character Ed Conference in Washington, D.C., and I met Scarlett Lewis. Her son was murdered in Sandy Hook in 2012, at the school shooting at Sandy Hook, and she really took this awful, tragic experience and turned it into something positive. So her story, and I actually sat and had lunch with her, really resonated with me. And this is one of the reasons. I mean, we had a committee that chose this curriculum, but this is something that just spoke to me. And I'm just going to share a brief 2-minute video about the Choose Love curriculum.
My name is Scarlett Lewis, and I'm the founder of the Jessie Lewis Choose Love movement. I started this organization following the murder of my 6-year-old son, Jesse Lewis, at Sandy Hook Elementary School in 2012. Following the tragedy, I decided to become part of the solution to the issues that we're experiencing, not only in schools, but in our society as well. It's called social and emotional learning, which basically means learning how to have healthy relationships, deep and meaningful connections, skills and tools for resilience, and learning how to manage our emotions. We are not born with these abilities. They need to be learned, and they're essential to a happy and healthy life. It teaches personal responsibility, giving kids an awareness of who they are and an understanding and compassion for others. There are decades of scientific research that validate the power of this type of learning as it relates to the long-term well-being of a child. In fact, studies show that children who have access to SEL in their classrooms not only have better grades, test scores, and graduation rates, but they experience reduced anxiety, depression, substance abuse, incarceration, and even fewer divorces later in life. SEL proactively reduces and prevents the suffering before it even starts. It is my mission in life to make sure that every child has access to this life-transforming and life-saving learning. Thus, the creation of the Choose Love Enrichment Program for educators, their students, and parents. This comprehensive social and emotional learning program focuses on empowering students by teaching them that they have the power to choose love and giving them a formula for doing this in any situation. Going through this program will help you be part of the solution. Information you can hear once and never forget. It will always be a tool in your toolbox. You might not always use it, but it will always be there. We start within our own hearts, and this ripples out to the world and impacts so many others. Thank you for choosing love and helping to create a safer, more peaceful, and loving world.
Okay, so Choose Love is aligned with the Castle's 5 core competencies, as well as the Model Character Social and Emotional Development Standards set forth by Character.org, ASCA, and Common Core. So some of the 5 core competencies are self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, relationship skills, and responsible decision-making. So how can educators promote SEL? They can model and self-awareness, grow student responsibilities, model kindness to enhance relationships. Again, we'd like our teachers to develop those important relationships with our students, to provide a space for students to feel more comfortable in talking to adults, talking to their teachers, talking to their administrators, talking to their counselors if they have any issues at school or at home. Utilizing cooperative learning strategies to enhance social awareness, and also coordination of classroom lessons with part-time counselors. Our part-time counselor is Krista Forcier. She is working at New Albany and Rush, delivering this Choose Love curriculum in the buildings. And also Rachel Emig-Tate, she is at CMS and CHS, and she's working to incorporate those lessons as well in all grade levels. So what we hope is that the students will develop a common language throughout our district, the Choose Love language. And any questions or comments, Board of Education members?
Sounds good.
Okay, thank you. And if you'd like more information, if you'd like to take a deeper look into the program, I've included the website. You can download any lesson at any grade level and take a look at what the counselors and also the teachers are going to also be supporting the counselors. And we've also talked with the administrators about providing SEL days at the middle and high school. I know it's a little bit easier to have time at the elementary level to deliver their curriculum, but we also talked, in addition to the counselors teaching the lessons, also having those SEL periods a couple times a month. So thank you so much. Have a great night.
Thank you, Mrs. Glow.
Thank you.
Very nice, very important.
Okay. Normally each year in the fall, we have a presentation in which we review our state assessment results from the previous spring. And it is normally composed of 3 assessments: the New Jersey Student Learning Assessment, which was previously called PARC, which is given to students in grades 3 through 9, and again in 11 in English, math, and science. We talk about the results of the Dynamic Learning Map Assessment, the DLM, which is given to a small portion of our special education population. And the third test is what is called the Access for ELS, ELS meaning our English language learners. Last year, the NJSLA was canceled, the DLM was canceled. However, the Access for ELS assessment started in February. It was administered to our students who are English language learners here in Cinnaminson. This is a test that the students take on the computer. It takes about 3 hours to complete, and there are basically 4 components that the children are assessed in. Reading and writing, obviously. There are portions of the exam in which they literally put on a set of headphones and have to respond to verbal prompts that are given to them. And then there is a 4th component in which there is literally a microphone hooked up to the computer, and there is a speaking component for the students to respond to questions. At the end of the day, parents get a progress report on how their children did, so do the schools, and these scores come back on a range of 1 to 6, with each number from 1 to 6 corresponding to a certain level, from entering, beginning, all the way up to bridging and reaching. A child who takes the assessment and scores at a 4.5 or higher will exit the ELL program. The ELL program, as you may or may not know, we have, last year there were 96 students in the program. These students, K through 12, see an English language learner certified instructor every single day. We have 1 teacher at New Albany, we have 1 teacher at Rush, we have 1 teacher who bridges the middle school and the high school, and we have 2 world language teachers who, as part of their teaching load, teach ELL instruction. If you went back 4 years ago, there was 1 teacher for the entire district, and there was approximately 25 children in the program. Today, there are 112. That's about a 350% increase over this 4-year period. New language learning does not happen overnight, no matter what your age is. The research shows that it takes children about 4 to 7 years to become proficient in a language. So when a child enters the program, our teachers are not expecting them to get that 4.5 on the first try. It is something that takes several years to grasp, and research has shown us that the younger you are, the easier it is to learn a new language, just because of brain development and how things are going on. So last year, 96 students took the assessment. The average score district-wide was a 3.4. We report out the scores at each school. Anytime we report out scores for anything, we only do it if there are 10 students at a minimum, for like confidentiality sorts of reasons. So 3 of our schools had at least 10 students. Our New Albany school had about 40, and the mean score at New Albany was a 2.9. At Rush School, the average was a 4.1, and at the high school, it was a 3.1. So you can surmise that children, going back to that 4 to 7 year period, joined the program in kindergarten. Several years later, they got to Rush School and got that necessary 4.5, at which they exit the program, which means that having a daily ELL class is no longer a part of their schedule. Again, the middle school numbers we withheld because it was less than 10, and 23 out of the 96 students scored at a level 4.5. So those 23 students exited the program last year. Any questions about the access exam? That is all that I have for you.
So when do they take it this year?
It's typically given starting towards the end of February into April.
Oh.
So a year from now, we will be back to normal with all 3. I will be back in the winter time with the Start Strong results as well. So something to look forward to. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Goldberg.
All right, we're moving on to section 8. Any correspondence to the board that anyone needs to share? We're moving on to 9, the committee reports. We had 2 committee meetings this month, the Curriculum Committee and the Finance and Personnel Committee. The Curriculum Committee,
Right here.
Mr. Kenny?
Sub it.
Mr. Kenny has the curriculum report.
The Curriculum and Student Activities Committee met on Wednesday, October 13th. The committee heard a proposal from a high school student who's interested in leading STEM lessons for middle school students on a monthly basis. Lessons would be supervised by a high school science teacher and are part of the student's Girl Scout Gold Award project. The committee also supported a proposal for the piloting of a new club at Cinnaminson High School called the Future Medical Professionals Club. The committee was given an update on the Start Strong assessments, which replaced last spring's NJSLA test that was canceled. Several routine business items were discussed, including field trip, professional development requests, as well as book disposal recommendation from the high school. And curricular updates were also discussed related to elementary English language arts and music. And lastly, the committee discussed board goals for the current school year.
Thank you, Mr. Kenny. There was also a Finance and Personnel Committee meeting, and Mr. Woodington, you have that report.
The committee meeting began with a discussion of financial matters. The 2021 budget process is underway. Committee members were informed that the June 30th, 2021 audit fieldwork is near completion and expected to be completed by the end of the month. We can expect delays with receiving the audit report due to financial data that is still due from the state of New Jersey. Committee members discussed and approved routine business items that are on this evening's agenda and the bus evacuation drills scheduled this week. Under personnel matters, committee members discussed the collective bargaining agreements. Bus driver shortage continues as we are working to consolidate athletic runs where possible. Middle school runs are still struggling for drivers. Next, committee members discussed current staffing and the status of the state's COVID testing services. Lastly, committee members discussed Board of Education goals for the 21-22 school year. The next meeting of Personnel Finance Committee has not been scheduled at this time. That's it.
Thank you, Ms. Woodington. Mrs. Quinn, can I have a motion to approve Section 9, Letter A, Committee Report?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Woodington. Comments or questions from the board? Hearing none, we'll take a vote. Mr. Bromhall?
Aye.
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 Aye. Motion approved. Moving on to Section 10, Public Comments on Agenda Items. Hearing none, we'll move to Section 11, Personnel Certificated. Mr. Capello.
Thank you, Mrs. Fitzwater. Under Section 11, Letter A, we have no retirement or resignations. Under Letter B, seek the board to ratify and affirm the appointment of Rachel M. McTate to the position of part-time counselor at the middle school and high school. This is retroactive back to October 13th, 2021. And number 2, seeking the board to approve an adjustment to the long-term substitute salary for Stephen Cardis at the middle school, retroactive to September 1st to on or about November 30th. And under number 3, seeking the board to approve an adjustment to the previously approved effective date for Joseph Pinto as long-term substitute teacher at the Norway School, who will now begin retroactive October 14th, 2021. And under number 4, seeking the board to approve the adjustments to the below-listed counselor salaries with respect to the previously approved CEA Memorandum of Agreement as attached. Under letter C, teaching overload, seeking the board to approve Albert Miller High School for one period of overload Spanish, and that is from November 29th, 2021 to on or about March 29th. Under number 2, seeking to approve Andrea Torres, high school teacher, for one period of overage for Spanish, and that is also effective the same time range, November 29th through March 29th, 2022. Under letter D, advancement on the salary guide, seeking the board to approve the adjustment of previously approved advancements to the individual listed in the agenda. Under letter E, extra duty appointments, seeking the board to approve Kay Johnson, preschool teacher, to be approved for 0.5 hours for training for the Commission of the Blind and Visually Impaired, attended on September 30th, 2021. Seeking the board to approve Siobhan Marr, Rush School Music Makers and Advanced Choir Advisor for the 21-22 school year. Number 3, seeking the board to approve the following employees as November in-service presenters, and they are listed in the agenda under number 3. Number 4, seeking the board to ratify and affirm Anthony Falls to be paid for 6 hours of preparation and trainer time, 3 hours for professional learning days on October 12th and 13th for safety care training. No leave of absences, substitute teachers. Under letter G, number 1, seeking the board to ratify and affirm Tracy Norfos, permanent substitute teacher number 4 at the Rush School, retroactive to October 5th, 4 days a week. Number 2, seek the board to ratify and affirm Elaine Connor as permanent substitute teacher number 2 at the New Albany School, retroactive to October 11th, 2021. Seek the board to approve the appointment of the following substitute teachers to be called on an as-needed basis for the 21-22 school year, and those names are listed under number 3 in the agenda. Number 4, seeking the board to ratify and affirm Cynthia Calabrese as permanent substitute teacher number 3 at the New Albany School, retroactive to October 18th, 2021. Under letter H, tutors, seeking the board to approve the following for one-to-one tutoring, home instruction, quarantine, to be paid for by Title I and/or ARP ESSER funds, and that is Jody Hedman and Kathy Canali. Number 2, seeking the board to approve Maya Case K as a substitute teacher for the enrichment program or the one-to-one tutoring, home instruction, quarantine program, also be paid for out of Title I or ARP ESSER funds. Under number 3, seeking the board to approve Maureen Kohler as an enrichment tutor to be paid out of the Title I and/or ARP ESSER federal funds. Under letter I, student teacher, seeking the board to rescind the previously approved assignment of Bianca Minard, student teacher for personal reasons. Under number 2, seeking the board to approve the placement of student teacher Sean Feast from Fairleigh Dickinson University for Questfield Experience number 2 with Anne-Marie Simeon at the New Albany School from December 15th, 2021 to January 21st, 2022. And under letter J, number 1, seeking the board to rescind the appointment of Michelle Reisman of Rush School, who was previously approved as mentor teacher for Maura Lafferty for the 21-22 school year. Under number 2, seeking the board to approve an adjustment to the previously approved stipend for Mary Cook Rush School mentor teacher for Christina Hess for 5 months of mentoring in the 21-22 school year. Under number 3, seeking the board to approve William Welcher as mentor teacher for Stephen Cardis effective September 1st to November 30th, 2021 for a total of 3 months. And that is certificated staff, Mrs. Fitzwater.
Thank you, Mr. Capello. Mr. Bromhall, can I have a motion to approve Section 11 personnel certificated letters A through J?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Kenny. Comments or questions from the board? Hearing none, we'll take a vote. Mrs. Quinn?
Aye.
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 Aye. Motion approved. We're going on to Section 12, personnel non-certificated. Back to Mr. Capello.
Thank you again, Mrs. Fitzwater. Under Section 12, letter A, number 1, seeking the board to accept the resignation for personal reasons of Jennifer Kelly, special education ABA tech at the middle school. Number 2, seeking the board to ratify and affirm the resignation for personal reasons of Brooke Grafton, special education aide ABA tech at the high school, retroactive to October 15th, 2021. No leaves of absences. Skipping down to letter C, seeking the board to ratify and affirm the appointment of Christina Stewart to the position of special education aide ABA tech at the New Albany School. That's a 6.75-hour daily, and that's retroactive to October 8th, 2021. Under number 2, seeking the board to ratify and affirm the appointment of Danielle Kenny to the position of BSIP aide at the New Albany School. That's 5.75 hours daily, retroactive to October 15th, 2021. Under letter D, extra duty, seeking the board to ratify and affirm the request for Lydia Gleason and Amanda Reyes to attend to attend the Commission for the Blind and Visually Impaired training, which was held on September 30th, 2021, for a total of 0.5 hours each. And under number 2, seeking the board to ratify and affirm the request for Doreen Hubble, special education aide at the Rush School, to accompany her assigned student to after-school student council meetings, 1 hour per week, effective retroactive to October 12th, 2021. And we have no transfers, no job descriptions. Skipping down to letter G, seeking the board to approve Nora Chantel as a substitute teacher aide to be called on an as-needed basis for the 21-22 school year. 2, seeking the board to approve Ralph Dallin as a substitute school bus driver to be called on an as-needed basis for the 21-22 school year. Number 3, seeking the board to approve Trina Foster as a substitute school bus aide to be called on an as-needed basis for the 21-22 school year. Under number 4, seeking the board to approve Nicholas McGovern and Ava Maz as substitute SAC aides to be called on an as-needed basis for the 21-22 school year. The letter H, ARP IDEA Basic, seeking the board to approve salaries of the following employees for the ARP IDEA allocation, effective retroactive to September 7th, 2021 for the remainder of the 21-22 school year. And those individuals are listed in the agenda with their respective salaries that are charged to that grant. And that is non-certificated.
Thank you, Mr. Capello. Mr. Kenny, can I have a motion to approve Section 12, personnel non-certificated items A through H?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Whittington. Comments or questions from the board? Hearing none, we'll take a vote. Ms. Quinn?
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved. Moving on to Section 13, curriculum and instruction. Dr. Goldberg.
Thank you. Under 13, letter A, requesting board approval of the professional development requests that are attached. Under letter B, the board approves the field trip requests that are attached. Under letter C, requesting board approval of the instructional materials listed in the agenda for middle school reading. Under letter D, requesting board approval of the disposal of outdated social studies and business textbooks in the attachment. Under letter E, requesting board approval for revisions to the Performing Arts curriculum for grades K to 5 and the ELA curriculum for grades K to 5. Under letter F, requesting board approval of the submission of the Title I comparability report. Under letter G, number 1, that the board approves the piloting of a new club at Cinnaminson High School, the Future Medical Professionals Club, with no stipend in the first year. And under number 2, that the board approves CHS student number 2023-859 to lead monthly science enrichment lessons at Cinnaminson Middle School under the supervision of Jennifer Alvarado and Kristen Melcher. And under letter H, requesting board approval of the out-of-district placement for the non-classified student whose ID number is 2022-434. And request approval of all those items, please.
Thank you, Dr. Goldburn. Ms. Whittington, can I have a motion to approve Section 13, Curriculum and Instruction, items A through H?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Gaffney. Comments or questions from the board? Hearing none, we'll take a vote. Mr. Bromhall?
Aye. Aye. Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye. Motion approved. Moving on to Section 14, Special Education. Mrs. Llewellyn.
Thank you. Under letter A, contracts, seeking the board to approve one contract with the New Jersey Commission of the Blind and Visually Impaired to provide services from October 8, 2021 until June 30, 2022 for level 4 services for one student. Under letter B, student placement, seeking the board to ratify and affirm the tuition contract agreement with Marie H. Katzenbach School for the Deaf for one student for the 2021-22 school year. Under letter C, consultant agreement, seeking the board to approve the following consultant agreement with Out of Sight Teaching, LLC, to provide orientation and mobility therapy as requested by the district. Under letter D, annual nursing services plan, seeking the board to approve the annual nursing services plan for each building for the 2021-22 school year as attached. And under letter E, criteria for independent evaluations, seeking the board to approve the Cinnaminson School District's criteria for independent evaluations for the 21-22 school year as attached. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Llewellyn. Mr. Gaffney, can I have a motion to approve Section 14, Special Education, items A through E?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Whittington. Comments or questions from the board? Hearing none, we'll take a vote. Mr. Quinn?
Aye. Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved. Moving on to Section 15, Policy. Mr. Capello.
Thank you, Mrs. Fitzwater. And seeking the board to approve on a second reading and adoption the following policies that are listed in the agenda, and there are quite a number of them. One thing I will point out to the board is that in doing so, by readopting policy 0131, bylaws, policies, and regulations, moving forward, we will only need one reading to abolish any policies. So there was a question about why we needed 2 readings currently to abolish one of the policies, and that change will be effective this evening. So this is Section 15 policy, seeking the board's approval.
Thank you, Mr. Capello. Ms. Quinn, can I have a motion to approve Section 15, Item A?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Gaffney. Comments or questions from the board? Hearing none, we'll take a vote. Mr. Bromhall?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye. Motion approved. All right, moving on to Section 16, Business and Finance. Mr. Egan.
Okay, thank you. Under letter A, grants, we have a number of those this evening. Item 1, that the board approves the approval of submission for the 2020-21 school security grant application, amendment number 1. Number 2, that the board approves the submission of the 2020-21 IDEA final report application as attached. 3, that the board approves the non-public project completion reports for the 2020-21 school year as attached. And number 4, that the board approves the 2021-22 chapters 192-193 report of non-public auxiliary and handicap services as attached. Letter B, finance, there are none. Letter C, under operations, 1 is the authorization for submission to the Department of Education Office of Facilities. Letter A, that the board authorizes Garrison Architects to amend the long-range facility plan and prepare and submit as other capital projects applications for Phase 2, Memorial School Preschool Disabilities Classroom, which includes site work and utilities, and the district acknowledges no state aid for this project. 1B, that the board authorizes Garrison Architects to amend the long-range facility plan and prepare and submit as other capital projects applications for professional engineering and environmental services for the removal and replacement of the underground fueling system at the Cinnaminson High School facility, which includes site work and utilities, and the district acknowledges no state aid for this project. Item 2 is the annual comprehensive maintenance plan. Item 3 is the school bus emergency evacuation, where the board approves and ratifies the school bus emergency evacuation drills to be conducted on Tuesday, October 19th, 2021 through Friday, October 22nd, 2021 for the 21-22 school year, in accordance with the New Jersey Administrative Code, NJAC 6A:27-11.2. Under letter D, contracts, that the board approves the contract renewal for custodial services and low-pressure boiler operators for the Cinnaminson Middle School to daycare cleaning services in the amount of $136,920 for the period December 1st, 2021 through November 30th, 2022. And that is a 2% increase. Number 2, that the board approves the joint transportation agreement with Essex Regional Educational Services Commission for transportation services, should say from the YCS Davis House, Newark, New Jersey, to the Essex Valley School District for the 2021-22 school year. Thank you, Mrs. Fitzwater.
Thank you, Mr. Regan. Mr. Bromhall, can I have a motion to approve Section 16, Business and Finance, letters A through D?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Kenny. Comments or questions from the board? Hearing none, we'll take a vote. Ms. Quinn? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved. Moving on to Section 17, Other Business. Mr. Capello.
Thank you again, Mrs. Fitzwater. We traditionally don't have many items under other business. There are 2 items this evening. Under letter A, seeking the board to approve the Board of Education goals for the 21-22 school year. And I'll actually go ahead and read those goals. Goal number 1, continue efforts to ensure a culture that is committed to diversity, equity, and inclusivity. And number 2, support the social, emotional, and mental health needs of the students and staff who are transitioning back to a traditional school schedule. And number 3, while maintaining the financial health of the district, provide resources and support to ensure that the district personnel continue to operate at capacity and of the quality the Cinnaminson Board of Education demands. So nice job by the board in putting together 3 very meaningful goals to keep us focused for this school year. And other business, letter B, seeking the board to approve the memorandum of understanding between Rowan College at Burlington County, or RCBC, and Cinnaminson Township Board of Education for the 21-22 academic school year. Seeking those items for approval.
Thank you, Mr. Capello. Mr. Kenny, can I have a motion to approve Section 17, Other Business, items A and B?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Whittington. Comments or questions from the board? Hearing none, we'll take a vote. Mr. Quinn?
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved. Going on to Section 18, Public Comments on Other Matters. Moving on to Section 19, Comments from the board. Mrs. Whittington.
Congratulations to CHS boys soccer team for their #1 seed in the Coaches Cup. Good luck this weekend. Thank you, Mr. Creel and his team for his consistent efforts to maintain our technology systems throughout the school district. Congratulations to Cinnaminson Marching Band for their accomplishments. Thank you, Mrs. Colella, for your presentation on SEL. You continue to raise questions and open discussions on topics impacting our children. Thank you, Mr. Goldburn, for your informative presentation on ELL scores. The Board of Education's next regular scheduled meeting is November 16th at 7 o'clock. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Whittington.
Mrs. Fitzwater, if I could, I had just one other piece to augment that report. For members of our community, you've seen the signs around town. You've seen that the board has been extremely supportive of trying to recruit new folks to come and join us on our transportation staff. If you have at all interest in working with kids, I can't think of a better place to do so than your hometown. We would love to have you be a part of the team, even if you have limited driving experience. We do have an extensive training program and can get you hooked in to help you acquire your CDL. And while you're learning on the job, some opportunities to work as a bus assistant along the way. So if you have any interest at all, check out the information there on the signs around town or contact our transportation department. We'd love to have you join our team.
Thank you, sir. And I'm going to ask Mrs. Whittington for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Gaffney. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting is adjourned.